Good morning. So we're live on YouTube and on TikTok. If you guys want to, if you're on TikTok and you want to check out the YouTube, it's ATA_trader. I'll put that in the TikTok here so you can take a look. We have everything we do is on YouTube or inside the community. So let's go into our trading yesterday. So first off, I want to start. Let's go to the 2-minute. And we're going to go to regular trading hours so that way we can assess what we did yesterday. So you can see we started the market right about here, 427.32 or so. Now, keep in mind, we had talked about this yesterday when we were doing the huddle, right, as we were up here. You can see right here we put this yellow line, the 427.65, and then I had this line 428.27. That was our pivots. We had talked about if we can't break this line, then we're likely to see some further downside. So we did get that pullback down here. We did find support at the green line that I had at 425.96. That was our initial bounce. Some of us caught the call in this room here. We were actually talking about how it's holding support and we're likely to get a big pop. We did, so we were able to take some trades within this area here. So one of the things that we were watching, I always leave some lines on here that we place. I'm a real big fan of drawing some patterns early. So that's what we were doing here. What we talked about is this was our first rejection. So when it came down, we drew this line on this kind of 2-point, and I said if we reject again here, then it's going to be a pretty nasty fall, right? And that was where some people took those puts, and we did have that nasty fall. Not only did we reject on this lower trend line here, but we had a double top retest, right, of the neckline, and it failed. And that's where you see that volume really kick up. Now, we did find support here again, which is another area that we caught some of those calls into the bounce. But now the key thing here, guys, and this is where these drops happen when you're trading, is you have a big area of support that was once resistance that now turned back to resistance. So that puts a lot of bearish sentiment in the market, which is going to tank us down, right? So that was kind of the flow that we were watching. This drop here, I actually was able to ride this one south. I think we caught on the live trader as well as I did some live trades with it. But the reason why I had taken this one is once you notice here, again, right, what was once support here, we've seen act as resistance. It came down. So on this second oscillation, once we lost some steam and I started to see the bearish sentiment, it was a great entry to ride that down. So right around here is when I talked about landmine territory. The reason why I say landmine territory is a few actually. One, if you look at our order blocks here, it's just super strong, anywhere from this 420.50 up to pretty much 421.75, right? So it's extremely strong in that area. Plus, if you go into the 1 hour, right, you can take a look and see this spot right here, right where it bounced, right there, is literally where the resistance was right here that broke us up. So getting a bounce there is not shocking. Now, not 100% sure it's going to hold. It really depends on what happens when Powell starts talking, right? So I mean, this wasn't a super strong hold, but it was definitely a landmine area. So the one thing I am watching though, guys, if you look here again, we still have our falling channel here, but from the point where we fell here, we still have a higher low. So there's still some bullish divergence within that. You can see arguably this point here is not, but if you start to see things like that pop up as not being there, right, then you just want to look on maybe a higher time frame and see, do you have that? Now, if you see it a little bit shifted right here, also make sure you're checking extended hours to get the full picture, right? Because it can change how that outlook looks altogether. And so you can see from the regular picture right here, right, from the regular trading hours, we're just heading down. There's nothing there. But if you go to extending hours, now we actually have an uptick, right? Whereas down here, we're just a constant downtick. So you do have that bullish divergence starting to kind of rear its head, right? But I mean, in the pre-market right now, I mean, with the news that just popped out, we dropped from 427 down to, I mean, we're 425 and dropping. So just some there's a lot of bearishness in the market, but just be really careful, as we continue to bounce on these ranges. The next range that I put out was that 420 420.5 area. So the one thing I'm actually going to watch though, guys, is on market open. What I'm really curious to see, this is going to be a key level right here around 420 495, because it's still a little early to call it, but what we could see here is we could see that fall, we could see that head, right? See that shoulder maybe a little bit lower here. As long as we create a higher low than here and we come back up, now we have that neckline, right? And if this neckline pops, that's where you're gonna get a reclaim of this side. However, this is what I tell everybody: let's say we hold some support around this shoulder here shortly, right? And it does start to push back up and it cannot break this neckline somewhere around 427.30, and you start to see it do this, right? It's going to collapse in a pretty nasty way. So that's kind of my key focus today. As long as we're below that 427 mark, then I'm just going to probably capitalize on some put bounces. But don't disregard the fact that we could be in a potential reversal pattern. So that's what we don't want to discard when you're watching that. So on the 1 hour, let's take a look at the EMA, SMA. So the Bollingers, it's the SPY. And so on the Bollingers, what you want to look at here is we are starting to shift a little bit orange. The upper one's up here, but we're still kind of sideways on it. But it's still widening, right? I mean, but the key thing here is going to be, if you look at the 1 hour, y'all know I look at this a lot. Here's the 21 SMA. We're just below it, and you can see it's just fighting it, right? Even when it broke it, it collapsed again. We got to get above this. I would not take any calls until you at least get a good solid close and a retest, right? So we got a close, but we did not get a retest of that 21 SMA. I want to see some strength in here. I would like to continue to see this on the 1 hour stay green and continue a higher low. That would tell me that we're starting to get a little bit of money into that market area. So my suggestion to you guys today, we have Powell talking at 4 o'clock. I have my stuff, all my live trader stuff set to stop trading, I think, at 2 or 2:30. I'll probably be out of all my trades by 2 o'clock, 2:30, maybe 3 at the latest. But remember, 3 o'clock to 4 o'clock and then after hours is going to be so heavily swayed on how he talks, right? And so it's a gamble. Nobody knows what he's going to say, unless you're Nancy Pelosi, right? And so if you're way up for the week and you want to do a small gamble, that's your call. Manage your own risk, right? You can take that chance to determine if we're going to go up or we're going to go south. And I'll make some calls on what I think in the room. But don't give up your profits, guys, on a gamble. I mean, don't spend all week, with some great TA and great decisions, and then just give all your profit up on a gamble. It's not smart. So we're in a potential buy zone, guys. I mean, we got some stuff showing that we might be reversing. So but news is always going to trump TA. So just keep that in mind. But that's kind of the ranges I'm gonna follow. I would look for us to hold a higher low if we do continue to pull back at the 422. If we do, then we're gonna just kind of start to round. If we break this 422 level, I mean, we're almost certain coming down to that 420.5 or so range. If you're in the room, I put out the levels, here, the key levels of support and resistance. If you guys want those, you just got to come into botjok.com, botjok.com. Those are for the room exclusively. So do you have a Discord? So I just mentioned that, but if you go to our website, we don't have a Discord because we created our own Discord. So this is our Discord. We share everything in our trading floor right here. And this is kind of like how Discord would be. If you're in the room, we give out these market insights like this. I'll show you the quick snapshot, but again, this is for the room, right? So we put out the live trader settings. We put out our pivot points. If we think it's bullish, bearish, all that. We give you all that data. It's within our website. So, and you can check out our trading floor, guys. You don't need to be a paying member. You can come on in. Just all you need is an email to come in and say hi. It doesn't cost you anything. We're very transparent in this room. We know there's a lot of scammers and stuff out there. So I share my screen when I'm trading. I share my settings when I'm trading. If I'm right, I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. We admit to it. It's trading. You're going to take losses. So, not sure about on the links for now. I can look at that later. But if you just go to botjok.com, botjok.com, it'll pop up like this. So I'll take a look at the links and the link tree after this. So that's pretty much what I got on the SPY. I know, Fabian, if you're still around, you mentioned Tesla. Let's jump into that real quick. If anybody else wants to have me look at something, go ahead. So I did look at Tesla yesterday. I had mentioned that we're consolidating in this range yesterday. It obviously broke some key levels, right? My first anticipation yesterday is that we might hold this range in a possible higher low. And if it did hold this range from a lot of prior support that it had prior, that we would see some pretty big upside. But with that said, I also drew this lower trend line right here, right off of this. It was a two-peak trend back here, right? So you had this one and this low here, which we drew a while back. And so it would not surprise me if we don't pull back and retest that somewhere around 235 like that. If we do, it would end up a double bottom retest, and then if it comes back up, then you're going to have an explosion north. However, if you flip 235, like 234.50, if we break below that, somewhere down here around 232, something like that, and then we retest, fail it, then it's going to drop like crazy. We're likely to drop down to that 228 level where we had some heavy support here. So that's how I would play the range on Tesla. I think it's a little early to try to enter a call. I would like to see it move down into that 236 range before I would enter the call. If it does pump at market open, it's okay, let it go, right? Don't just chase it. Let it pull back and retest 242 as support, and then ride that back up. So don't just jump into it. So let me do the indicators, and then I'll jump over to Meta. So we still have it in a short on the 1 hour. It has not called a long yet. We did get a little bit of harmonics, but they're kind of conflicting. So it still had that. But look at this long and short it called. It's so crazy. And then zone tracker, Bollinger, let's check that. So we're below the SMA. So again, until you flip that SMA, if you're going to scalp, you don't really want to take calls while you're below this SMA. Is so dangerous. But you have a really big gap before the 200 EMA, which it always retests at some point. So you can easily wait for a call on that, right? Which puts it around the same range that I just said for Tesla. But it's really dangerous to take it right now. Gap fill sniper is the last one I'll check on there for you guys. So we are overly bearish, showing that it's getting close to a gap fill for bulls, but not quite yet. So we could see a little bit more downside, but it's getting there. So that's the range I'd play for Tesla. What else do we have? Meta. Let me do Meta, and then I'll do NVIDIA. Meta. I do have Meta here. I haven't had someone ask for Meta in a while, though. Okay, so we got Meta. We'll start off with the 1 hour. I already have Bollinger and Zone on there, so let's take a look. So obviously we have a big drop that we had here with the bullish recovery, which is a pretty good bullish sign. Our Bollingers are still red, aiming downward. They're not really tightening yet. The first thing that stands out, the first two things, is that we did have a big drop, a bullish recovery, and then we hit this 200 again that we've been hitting for quite some time, right? It couldn't hold. And so for me to be bullish on Meta, I wouldn't take any calls unless you get above this 200. I would want to see it, let it break above it, and then come down as a retest. And then once you get that bullish confirmation, you can ride that up to that 305 or so range. But other than that, as long as you continue to get rejections off this 300 range, you could take those puts to ride those things down. So our zone tracker's calling support around 288, which is right where it bounced, and resistance around 304. So that's kind of your range. Anytime that a company, just like Apple just did, anytime they announce a release, it's kind of funny because it tends to push a little north on the announcement. then all the big money takes profit and they wreck you. It drops it a little bit before the actual release. And then when the release comes out itself, based on how much they're selling, their projections, how that can flip it back up. But it actually it ends up a buy the rumor, sell the news situation when they come out with those releases like that. So just be careful. You'd want to get in early on it. Get in on the bottom before it starts to climb, but then watch your resistance because big money will dump on you. Don't worry. That's a fact. So Harmonic Pro on Meta, it's really got long and short, so I don't know that I like that. It's conflicted. The RSI is right in the middle. Gap fills pretty balanced. So I would stick with the ranges of the SMA EMA for Meta. And then yeah, it's funny. Epic every time, like even Apple release. Like let me show you guys Apple, and then I'll jump to the Nvidia. So it was funny because they came out with the Apple announcement for the 15, right? And then we dropped, and everybody was like, "What's going on?" You know, the release came out and we just dropped, right? It's because one, the Apple release was it was hyped up, so it got some decent pushes. But then what happened is people were pretty disappointed about only updating to the C charger and the titanium and just like couple. I mean, they update the camera like every update, right? So it was pretty disappointing. And so I think that the announcement, the rumor of the announcements, gave it a little pump, but then the actual announcements just tanked it. So you gotta watch for that. Otherwise, you get caught in the news. Because if you always say, "Oh, they're announcing something, let me buy it," you might win it sometimes, man. It could go crazy, but you also could get very caught doing that. So just be careful. This is Microsoft. Where's my Nvidia? I think it's on this one. Nvidia. All right, so we got Nvidia here. I'm gonna tell you, the first thing that sticks out on Nvidia, right, is you got this rising channel here. I don't like that for a bullish perspective. What I see happening on Nvidia, unless some news changes it, right? This looks very, 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 very bear flaggish, right? So you take that like that. The only thing I would say to it is you did have a nice downtrend, right? Where it continued to reject. You see I had this line, and we actually broke the downtrend. So that is good. So we did break the downtrend like this. I just don't like how it's following this channel. It could be a good channel to trade in, right? If you gain some support off of here again, right? You can ride this channel like this. No telling how far it would go, but what I would watch for is when you start to really see some bearish divergence pop up in here on the 1 hour. That's typically when you're getting a sign of weakness. And then you want to watch wherever it begins to reject more. So I want to explain it so you guys understand here. So if you see that you're hitting each top and bottom like this, right? But see here how it rejected early, and then it hit the top, rejected early, but it couldn't quite make the top. Now it hit the bottom, and now it can't even make it past halfway on the top. So if it begins to do this and it can't make it to the top again, and it comes back to the bottom, and it comes back, and the oscillations begin to shrink, that is 100% sign that we're going to do this. Now, if it reverses and we're starting to hang towards the top, right? Like let's say market opens and we shoot to the top here, and then we come down and we shoot to the top and we shoot to the top, then it's going to do the same thing, but in the other way. Currently right now, yeah, Apple was a way overbought. I mean, the thing hit all-time highs like freaking every day for like weeks. And I was telling people, y'all nuts because so many people were talking about how they're in a call way up there, and I'm like, man, not a good time to be in a call. But that's how because not all patterns play out, guys. Although this is very bear flaggish, I'd want to see some continued divergence, right? I want to see weakness in the RSI while this is continuing to climb for me to believe that that's going to fall. So that's just kind of how I look at it. Now let's look at the actual indicators. Now that we know we have a pattern, let's see if anything lines up to where it matches. So Nvidia is above the 21 SMA on the 1 hour, so I do like that, which is likely going to push a squeeze. So if you're looking to take a put, I'll be honest with you, I may not ride a call up on Nvidia. I'll let it get to about 432. Once it starts rejecting on this 200, also being right where this line is, man, you could take a pretty great put right here. The only thing that would prevent me from taking a put is if you were to see it do this, then it comes up and then it rejects a little bit here, but it's holding some support high, because that's a sign that we may flip it, and then now you're above this 200 and you don't want to take a put. As long as you're above that 200, you don't want to take a put, because it's going to invalidate this pattern and take off north. So let's check. You can see as far as the zone tracker and the Bollingers, I mean, the ranges that we have is, I mean, the low is 408, pretty obvious. There is some red in here a little bit around 434, which also solidifies what we just talked about. If it does break that, anywhere around 445 or so is the next stop for it. Let's take a look at the harmonics. So we did get a long call, so that is good. You can see our short call was up here. It did do a long call here, but I get the side comments, people, oh yeah, but it said a long here, and you always say that you wouldn't have taken it. But we create rules, guys. Never just follow an indicator, any indicator, blindly. Always have rules. If you look at it, yes, we got a long here. We have bearish divergence, continued bearish divergence in a red resistance zone, right? This is basically one segment of one indicator that was caught up in the pump. But you have rules that you put together, and that's what we teach you in the room, right? Is how to follow these rules. And so that would have kept you safe. You would have came through, said, okay, now I have a short. We're in red resistance. We have that bearish divergence. That's how you write it down, right? So now let's look at here. So you have a little bullish divergence. We did get our long. We are in a support zone, right? So we may continue to do this, right? To come back up until we hit up here, and then it could continue to have its breakdown. Also, keep in mind news. Anything Powell says today at 4 o'clock could change this stuff drastically, and you have to be able to really see it and to think on the fly, right? To pivot. So let me look at the other indicators, see how that is. Gap fill. So gap fill on the 1 hour. We've been a little bit more bullish, but not quite ready for a gap fill, which tells me we might have a little more upside to it. Yeah, I mean, you can see this was the line that we put, right? These two peaks or lower lows there, which pretty much worked out perfect. Last week we hit off of that, and we're just climbing up. And you can see last time it hit these levels, right? I mean, it bounced pretty dramatic. So, you can see here, I mean, you had your fall parallel channel, not quite as tight as this one. This one's a little tighter, but it continued to kind of press this upper band, and then it held that support, and then bam, broke through, right? Which was likely probably news that pushed it over the edge. So I think I got everything. Could a gap fill down to 315 if it gets bearish? So if you look at NVIDIA like this, it still has this to reclaim. I think it will someday. What I would do is, I did this one for right now. I did this the other day because it was kind of the only close relevant 2 points that I can find, and it could probably come up just a smidget right there. So what I would mark on NVIDIA is if we break this 408 level, then it's almost guaranteed that it's going to gain some steam to come down to this 374 level. This will be a heavy test area. So let me give you like a example of how this could play out, right? If you wanted to look for a signal to play this recovery here, what I would want to see is this bear flag play out, come down here, get a little bit past it, come up, retest it, and then have it crash down to there, consolidate here for a second, come up and retest this area, somewhere here, not in a double bottom fashion, but maybe the neckline's a little higher, right? And then it rejects on that neckline. Then you want a rejection below here, a retest of resistance like this, and then that would basically pull it all the way down like that. That's how it would look, something similar to like that if you were to get that full reclaim of this side. I don't think it would go much lower than here. I think if you had something like that play out, I would go to like the 4 hour or the daily, and you can take something as simple as this, like that, and this is where you're going to want to, I mean, this would be like madness buy zone would be somewhere in that 300. If we ever came back down to 300 or so, man, I'll be taking some crazy volume calls on this, because I don't think it's going to continue to get all the way down to here. I think this would be like the low, and then it's just going to rocket north if I seen it ever reach that area. So that's kind of what I would see from the bearish potential. Now, if you were to, it's really difficult, because if you were to take these 2 points, which I did a while ago, you can do it kind of like this. Is probably how I would do it. I would cut through these to make it more relevant. So if it did have any kind of like news that came out and exploded it north again, I mean, you can get as high as 500, 545 pretty easily for the next rejection. But I think that would definitely take some time to do. So this is NVIDIA, NASDAQ. So but guys, I got about 4 minutes. If you guys are interested, just to show you guys in BotJock. So this is my my admin test account that I use here. So I'll show you. We do Tasty Trade for our options trading. You see, we're pretty much done testing, so I've drained these accounts. And then, but if you're looking for kind of a one-stop shop, we have an academy. If you're completely new, you can do that. We give instructions on how to set up stuff. We call it ATA, Automated Trading Assistant. We have our own Discord in here where we give all of our guidance. We do buy-sell signals for stocks and crypto. We do indicators. We create our own. All these indicators you see, those are my own that we created in the BotJock. And if you're looking for basic trading tips, right, we have it all in here, right? Your cattle patterns, your chart patterns. It's all this stuff is you can get even with the free email. Economic events. The one thing I haven't talked about a lot, and this is more crypto related, is shut up, John. You like my morning shut up, John. John's part of the room. He likes to mess with me on the spies. This is how we do the news for the crypto, so it's pretty cool. But yeah, take a look, guys. Like I said, all you takes is an email. Come on in. You can even come in and trade with us. Just so you guys know, Fridays, we don't typically trade. What we do is we'll do like an hour session of training, but we make it fun, right? We do some replays. We have people, call if they're taking a long or short. We see who's profitable. Just have some fun with it. I mean, trading, it should be fun. But I hope that helps you guys out. I appreciate you guys joining. I'm going to drop off. I do these every day, morning huddle, 8:45 to 9:15. I try not to go past 9:15 because in the room we're getting ready for market open. So, and you can see we're still holding, guys. Here you go, John. This is my last thing on the SPY. We rejected on the 21 again. It tried again, boom, rejected. It's got to flip that. If we can flip this on market open, that 425.98, and we get above this SMA and hold it, then we're going to have upside today. If we continue to stay below that, we're going to have downside. Really, as long as we continue to stay below 427.64, because you can see that's where our hard rejections are coming from. So we need to flip that for support for us to have some upside. Yeah, for those that are outside the U.S., man, if you're not in the U.S. and you guys are looking for automation, the product that we created for BitGet, the way it can trade north and south, man, that thing was just killer. But this whole inverse head and shoulders, to me, it's still in play as long as we hold this shoulder. If we break this shoulder, right, then it's going to be invalidated. But as long as we hold this shoulder, man, watch this neckline, because that's going to be nasty up. So, but I'm going to drop off, guys. Let me end the room here. We'll see you guys soon. For those in the community, if you are watching, I am going to start doing the market insights a little bit earlier. I want to help people make sure that they have that data before work. So that's the whole point of the automation, right? So I will work on that. Hopefully the time I put it out today works a little better for you guys. So appreciate you guys' time, and